Welcome to the juice, everybody. All right, I'm gonna start. It's 12 o'clock. Paul's gonna be coming in by the skin of his teeth because he's at another, because he's a maniac CEO. So he's gonna come in on the skin of his teeth. But I got some housekeeping to go over. So guys, now, if some of you are adult practices, you serve the adult community, don't be afraid to attend the things we have going on for the peds guys, okay? So Regina's adult, and Regina comes to all our things. And I'm like, Regina, why don't the other adults come to our stuff? And she's like, I don't know. They should, because it's amazing. It's all admin stuff. It's got really very little to do. We know your business paradigms are very, very different. We know adult PTs, need patients every 12 or 13 weeks. You don't have patients from 6 months to 18 years. You can't, you see PEDs see one patient at a time, and sometimes PTs see more than that. It's a whole different business paradigm, right? But the stuff we teach is the same, doesn't matter. So we have an insurance negotiation workshop. This is Friday. This is like, hello, you might be late to the party, but there's still time. There's the insurance negotiation this Friday, August 4th, and then there's Diane's ladder system. Now, Diane's ladder system, unlike most of our stuff, which is just snippets of the bigger programs that Survival Strategies, our sponsors, they sponsor everything. They're a training consulting company that trains and consults private practices. Some of our clients are on here. They've been clients for years. It's awesome. They keep growing and stabilizing and expanding. It's all great. So if you're interested in that, Carrie Lee just put the thing. Now, I will tell you that my dream is to bring the same thing, because for some reason, I don't know, I think it's because the adults have a lot of stuff for them. So they're like, oh no, you better keep that adult, because that's what we are and that's what we know, and everybody else is offering stuff just for us. The peds didn't have it like that. The peds were like, there's nothing for us. So they were like Gumby dolls trying to get and extrapolate all the information, and there was nothing for them. So they're kind of a little bit more open because they had to be. But in my real dream, we have everything that we have for the Palooza, we have for the private practice networking conferences. That's my game plan, is to put on summits and conventions, because guys, we're up to like 500 people at a live event. Do you know what it's like to network with 500 owners? It's amazing. And the adult PT field is so much bigger than peds, that it's crazy. So this is Foundation. Carrie Lee put the link up, and Foundation has these two parts. It's got the insurance negotiation, and it has ladders. Diane's a ladder system. So what's great about the ladder system is that it teaches you, okay, there's three types of people, right? There's the owners that have that sacred entrepreneurial vision and responsibility and growth and vision. It's highly responsible. And then you've got people that are just like, they just want to punch a clock at 5 o'clock on Friday, and they don't want to think about work for another second. And then you've got people in the middle that are not owners, but they want a higher degree of responsibility, and they want to grow with a company, hopefully you, and you want to keep and retain those people. So Diane's system teaches you exactly how to do that. So that's this Friday. And so if you're interested, now would be the time to set up for that. What else? Oh my gosh, you guys, we have Palooza-versary coming out. That is celebrating our 5 years. Now, again, that is technically a PEDS event. Regina has been on those several times. No, she's been to the live one, I think, just in Orlando, which was super duper fun. That was a blast. And so we're celebrating 5 years. We went from 50 people in a room that fit 30 to 50. We shoved 50 people in there. It was crazy. And now we have like close to 500 at some of our events. So this is super duper, like uber important. Okay, so you have all that. Now, another thing here is that I want to talk to you about is the ERC credit. If you guys haven't gotten that, I mean, if you guys know me, I try to bring you as many resources that will make your life as easy in private practice as possible. I've nicknamed myself the Resource Queen, and I have the fabulous and talented Mary Claire Hart that is the Resource Princess. So the ERC, let me tell you about that. If you haven't gotten the, what does it stand for? Employee Retention Credit. If you were told, if you were shot down by your CPA, if you were told you don't qualify and it wasn't someone certified with the IRS, you might be walking away from the last time, hopefully we're going to play Milton Bradley up in here and be printing out some money. But while it's being printed, you might as well get some if you qualify. So a lot of people were told they don't qualify. Well, I had this guy, Jonathan. Carrie, I don't know if you can dig up his information. Do you see my dog in the background? Oh my gosh, I hope he stays quiet. I didn't know he was out here. Oh, well, too late.
I just put all of his information in the chat, Nancy.
Oh, you are a doll. Carrie Lee, how do I live without you? I don't, and I wouldn't. So there you go. We had a lemonade and he answered all these questions for people. And here's what happened just in a nutshell. What happened is that when the government rolls out things like this, okay, they roll it out and they come up with this idea of how it should go. And then it doesn't work for like 85% of the people. And people push back and say, well, that didn't work. Nobody got the money because they didn't qualify. And they change the rules. Well, if in that you might have been told you don't qualify, so you may have lost out, and then you put that's done because you're a busy owner who's got time to look and follow something. So you didn't find out about it, and then you just left, and you didn't find out that the rules changed, and now you might. The other thing is, what I sneakily suspect is that sometimes when these people with fancy letters, you know, CPA, whatever, when they don't know how to do something, they kind of shy away from it. They have back off. They don't know, so they just come up with like doom and gloom of like, oh yeah, you're all going to get audited, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out that's not necessarily true either. And the other thing is that a lot of people, like I said, oh, this is the other thing. Sometimes CPAs don't want to lose your business, which I can't blame them, right? They feel like if you go someone and they get you this ton of money, that you're going to then use them for and be like, yeah, I'm going to switch. This guy got me money. My guy has me pay money. Our guy, Jonathan, is not trying to take anybody's money, okay? He is merely trying to, he's not trying to take away anyone's clients. So with that being said, please, please, please look at this information and just do your due diligence. That's my disclaimer. So I'm not in big fat, trouble if whatever reason something goes awry in your situation. But he got on the people that we had on the blah, 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 the lemonade that you can watch for yourself. I'm not going to lie. It's like watching paint dry. He's a boring CPA, but he's a sweetheart. I tried to make it a little bit entertaining. It's a little hard to get through if I say so myself, but he does answer all of your questions. Okay, good. So we have Paul Silovsky, owner of Rebound Physical Therapy. And Paul is he's like a laid back lion. I love this guy. Paul's been with Survival Strategies as a client and an associate for decades. He has a booming practice in Topeka, Kansas that he runs mostly from Nashville. We call that phase 2. Phase 2 is when your systems and efficiency are so in that you can go run your practice from another state. It might even be another time zone. I don't know. I'm geographically a little not so in the know on those time zones. But in either case, he runs it from another state. That's a fact. So he's here to talk to you today. And I love this guy. And if you guys want to chat, this is a very broad stroke kind of webinar. All of our stuff is pretty broad stroke. So if you have a question that's particular to where you're stumbling or you're challenged, please, we help thousands and thousands of clients. Right now, there's 209 or 213 practices moving along on the management program through survival strategies. So if you want to have a one-on-one and just talk about stuff, please, by all means, Carrie Lee, put the numbers so that we could set up a time for people to talk. And we get you in my schedule, and then I link you up with people that might be able to, who would be the best person to help you. So Paul, where are you, Paulie? Paul Silovsky, without further ado, take it away, young man. Paul, I see he's on here.
Yeah, I was muted.
Oh, you're rocking some new facial hair there, young man.
Yeah, I got talked into it. The jury's still out on my end, but
it's such a different look. I love it. I love it. I always like a change. I like a change.
I may just keep changing. So
that's right. No, I like it. I think it's very gives you a good look. I don't know. You guys on there that know Paul, you can weigh in. He can take it. Yay or nay? Yay or nay?
Quick survey, yeah.
Do a quick survey. Yay or nay on the facial hair? I love it, Paul. I think it's great. All right. Without further ado, Paul, take it away. What wisdom do you have for us today?
Yeah. Well, this is another made up one. When I say made up, it's because I have had these conversations with other owners. So. I did create a deck of slides I'll pull up here in a moment. I just wanted to give a little disclaimer that two things about this. A lot of this is from my own personal experience in looking at the concept of not all referrals being the same. I know that's a big generality, but I will break it down and tell you what I'm talking about there. The second thing I'll say is that this is actually, I realized when I was writing these slides, actually I reviewed the slides last night. It's funny, Nancy, when you texted me last night, hey, you ready? I was just wrapping up reviewing this slide deck that I made for you guys. And I realized looking at it that, there's no substitute. I just want to give this disclaimer, it's my own disclaimer. One, that a lot of this is my own viewpoint and my own experience. And two, there is no substitute for just having a lot of referrals. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with having a lot of referrals. I am definitely going to give you some tools. My intention is to give you a couple of tools, maybe a viewpoint. If you're already doing this, great. A lot of this data will really it's just common sense. But I find that sometimes people don't take the time just to look. So I'm going to have you look at a couple of key factors that would drive your own strategy for not only the volume of referrals, but the type of referrals. So if you aren't to the point where you have built volume, by all means do that. I would say the guys that if you need more new business, which a lot of guys I've talked to recently, particularly post-pandemic, when things open back up, most guys, it's hiring and getting enough staff. They don't have a problem as much with new. But I can tell you that one of the things we've done strategically, because we don't have a volume problem, is really focus on the quality of the folks that we're trying to get the attention of into our company. We have the luxury of a strong PR and marketing team, and now we're getting better and better at what I'm going to be talking to you guys about, which is really focusing on and getting a high quality start. Getting the people in the doors that we really like or need and want. And with the diversity of practitioners, we have a very diverse practice. And by that, I mean, we don't at this point do pediatrics, although we're looking at that market in our area in the future, which is kind of exciting for me as an owner. Learning from your group, it's a product of working with Pizza-Palooza. So I can't say that I'm a Palooza at this point, but from the standpoint of having a pediatric practice, but it's interesting.
You're an adopted Palooza, Paul. You're an adopted.
But really looking at, because we have so many different specialties inside of our clinic, while pediatrics is one specialty, and other specialties inside of that too. But with what we do between pelvic floor and aquatics and sports and balance and vestibular, and so we have a number of different publics that we can attempt to attract the attention and interest of. I'm not going to be just talking about referral sources, by the way, too. So because all kinds of starts that come in. So that's my bit of my disclaimer. So this is definitely a biased presentation. Happy to have dialogue, or I don't know how long this one will take, but if we don't have a lot of time for questions, I'm happy to clarify anything or any confusion that I might create by what I bring up here. As Nancy knows, I'm always willing to, I love collaborating with other owners. I spend a lot of time talking to people. As a matter of fact, I have a business group I started in the Nashville area. I don't even have a brick and mortar in Nashville, and I'm a director of a management association. They're helping guys, put order into their businesses. So I collaborate every week with other business owners outside of our space. So happy to do that with you guys. So I believe I should be able to share, right? Yeah, okay, good. So slideshow from the beginning, here we go. I can't see you guys, which I hate here, but I'll still, I will open it up at the end. So we're talking here about building, volume and quality, the types of referrals that you want to be seeing. You do have a choice, by the way. I think it's important to categorize. You should make your own categories. I'm going to talk to you about the discussions that Wendy and I have and with our team here on the different types of referral categories that we look at. There's no doubt the traditional medical sources that we were born and bred on. I mean, when physical therapy, we'll be 30 as a practice, as a private practice here in February. So we were, almost solely, reliant upon traditional medical referral sources, MDs, DOs, mid-level practitioners, all the different specialties, because we can work with orthodontists and dentists and stuff for, jaw and headache stuff from post dental work. So we have a number of specialties that we work with, but, we were born and bred on this. And when we did the referral program, which again, if it's an area of need, highly recommend it, because there's things inside of the referral program that bleed over into staff management for me, and the tools that you learn in communication and PR training that are invaluable, but in relationship development. So traditional medical, MD or medical referrals, then people use the word kind of synonymously, so either direct access or consumer access, direct response marketing, whatever you want to call it. That's, for me, the simplicity of it is where the public's deciding where they're going to go. It's not driven by a referral source, and this can certainly include boomerang patients, returning patients that come back that decide on their own and go to their doctor and tell their doctor where they're going to go. To me, that's still direct. For us, it's direct access. If the patient's deciding, even if they go see their doctor and get a referral, whether that's for approval of a plan of care with Medicare, or because they're on a PPO or something like that, where it requires a referral. And then a third category for us that is still direct access, still a subcategory of direct access, but we look at them separately. It's how many came from our community or public relations sources. And that would be directly from talks. Like we have a monthly Helping You Help Yourself talk the last Wednesday of every month. And we jam in new patients every month that come from that particular talk, but we give other talks too. We do, plenty of things out in the communities, whether it's schools and churches and businesses that we're into, or B2B type sources, right? Business to business, working directly with employers, ergonomic work, whatever it is, where we're securing new business directly from community sources, as opposed to traditional friends and family referrals in the direct access realm, or direct response marketing. We do all kinds of, Facebook ads and Google ads, and do content videos, all kinds of stuff to attract the attention and get more clicks and more people taking a call to action. So first things first, generally really make sure you just identify what is your current flow with between traditional medical referrals and direct access. And if you want direct access, break it down further like we do. You can get as specific as you want to get here on breaking out your categories. On the realm of traditional medical referral sources, I'm going to break it down. We call them A's, B's, and C's. A, B, C, meaning top level referral sources, then medium, and then lower level with regard to predominantly to volume. But and this is where it becomes subjective for me. For us, there's a break point. If you took a year's worth of data points on all your referrals, and I'm now talking traditional medical referrals, the ones that were directly referred to your practice from some provider, whether it's an MD or a mid-level provider, doesn't matter to us. You know, what's your there's probably going to be a natural break point. You'll go down the list and there'll be a break point on your high refers to your medium level refers. For us, it's about 2 a month. So 2 or more a month. If we had a, you know, I'm just telling you from the past, it could vary by a few referrals as far as how those numbers set themselves up as a survey point or a cluster of data that we'll be looking at on what they were sending or how many they were, just on how many they were sending. But you should look at your numbers and go, okay, who are our top referrals? Don't do it subjectively. And for some reason, there we go, finally advancing here. Then the medium would be for us, you know, at least, you know, be less than 2 a month, or, you know, less than 24 a year, but at least more than 12, 1 a month, 1 to 2 a month. And then low would be the less than 12 per year. Okay. And that's how ours broke out, right? If they're really probably not thinking of you very often. If someone's sending you, if you're seeing 6, 8, 10 in a year from somebody, well, that's not bad. They could definitely be moved forward on the dial, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is how we look at them, and these are all every one of them provides an opportunity for you, different levels of communication. But, you know, in your traditional medical realm, you should break them out because it'll help you set up a strategy. Because you're going to, and by the way, you're going to look at the frequency and the trends. I'll talk about that more later. But okay, you could have one referral source that sent you, let's say they were at B level and they sent you, you know, 12 in a year, but maybe they were all in a 6-month period of time, and then all of a sudden they dropped off the map. That takes a little different handling. So you'd be looking at the trends there. So more on these A's, B's, and C's. I first look at the volume or the quantity of the referrals, and then I look at the value or the quality of those referrals. I'm going to break that down here in a second. So quality meaning I'm going to be looking at not only you know, the types of payers, but, you know, what are we getting? What are we actually getting paid? You know, how long are these you know, patients staying? Are they sending high quality patients or not? It's basically the takeaway there, because you can have someone sending a high volume of not so great patients that may require a little different handling or level of attention. And then the viability. How viable is this referral source? In other words, does it have a future? What's the future value of those referrals or those referral sources? You know, not just with the traditional sources, but if you're breaking out and you're looking at the difference between your traditional medical referrals, your MD referrals versus your direct access or community sources, you may find some difference in the viability of that. So how do you evaluate this thing called, you know, to break it out simply, this quantity, quality, viability? If you were looking at, you know, those 3 factors, I'm going to give you a little rundown here of how to evaluate your A's, B's, and C's. So on the volume, you obviously clearly can just look at the raw number of referrals by category, meaning how many referrals did you get each week or each month that were, you know, MD or traditional medical referrals, and how many were direct access. So you look at the number by category, or you look at the number by each, you know, by each referring doc or each referring source in your company. So yeah, you're looking at MD versus direct access. You'd have to decide whether you're going to segment your direct access. We certainly look differently. We have a subset here because we have enough of a marketing budget that we do direct response marketing, meaning we pay every month for a set amount of paid ads for Facebook and Google ads and YouTube ads, advertising directly to a particular public. In our case, it is non-Medicare, so we're targeting people below Medicare age because we have enough Medicare patients. we don't need more Medicare patients. So we are, you know, our direct access and direct response marketing is targeted at a particular public. So, and then we look separately. Yet again, we have direct access as a category, but we look at the volume of people coming from our events, our friends and family referrals, which are, you know, like the internal referrals that the therapists generate by asking their best patients for more referrals like themselves, or getting the patients themselves. Patients that have a good experience are gonna send you people that are like themselves typically. I already talked about direct response pieces. We want to know which pieces. We actually put, different phone numbers, not our own phone number, on pieces that we send out, that they call a separate number that gets rolled to our phone, so we know where it came from. And then returning patients. I love returning patients. Hopefully they're not returned for the same thing, but they are the easiest to both cultivate and handle. The handle step of getting a commitment to a plan of care is, and we'll talk more about that in a moment on the quality. So that's the quantity. Just look at the gross numbers, whether you do that month, for PR marketing, you can certainly do it monthly. We look at the gross numbers weekly, but we dissect things down monthly on these things that I'm going over. So we definitely look every week at what the value of our starts are. So that's a quality point. So we look at we assign a collectible value per episode of care, and obviously we know what it is per visit, both across the board, but we do the same thing for referral sources. I want to give you more detail on that, but what is the value of a start in your company generally? And then you can look at it. Is there a difference between what the value of a start is between traditional MD referral, a direct response or a direct access patient, or even a returning patient that comes back for more? And then you not only the collectible value, but look at the total and average number of visits per start, because this will tell you what the engagement level. I like to call it engagement as opposed to what are the visits per new. We use the concept of visits per new patient, because we can you'll definitely see a difference. I see a difference in particular therapists, some therapists, on how they handle their patients and the kind of patients they get, for sure. But if you start generally on overall, what is the total and average number of visits per start? And this may net you a lot more than the actual number of referrals by provider. I'll give you an example of what that means here in a second. But bottom line is, you can have one doctor that sends you a lot of patients that don't stay around very long. You can have another doctor that sends you, maybe 50% of the volume of the patients, but their patients have a higher level of engagement. They're a higher quality patient because they're committed to working with you and the doc to complete their full plan of care, where some other docs may not be as good at selling our services. We may just be a problem-solving unit for them. We might be a wastebasket, a trash can, if you will, for certain types of patients that aren't super compliant and tough to get fully engaged. So I look at visits per new as an engagement, and obviously you got to look at outcomes there to make sure. But from a PR marketing standpoint, they aren't looking necessarily at outcomes of particular cases, but they are looking at whether our patients are engaged, and the quality of the patients has a lot to do with the visits and the revenue per visit and or episode of care. And then the last thing on this viability point is how viability, meaning what kind of future does that have? What kind of future is in that relationship? That's why even the title of the talk, right? Not all referrals are the same, and not all referral sources are the same, for sure. And some of them have more future to them than others. Do they provide more width and or depth to your base? I'm all constantly looking. When I say constantly, this is probably more of a quarterly conversation for us. I'm always looking to expand our base of referral sources. But at the same time, there's certain referral sources, by using this algorithm I'm going over with you on, is I'm looking to make sure that we can make certain referral sources deeper. Those ones that send us more engaging patients, not just patients on revenue, because they're sending you patients that will engage so that you can, complete a plan of care, so that you can get paid better and so you can get better outcomes. So you want to look at your referral sources. For example, I can get certain orthopedists that only send their more complex or problem patients that may or may not be committed. We're viewed as someone that's, I use that term of a wastebasket. They send us someone that they know that they just don't want to mess with it. They're going to send us their quote unquote their scraps or whatever. They're hard to deal with patients. They're hard to get committed patients, or more complex ones. And maybe they're sending some of their easier post-ops somewhere else. And we would want to know that. But we want to get, we want to build our relationships around those guys that are committed to a standard of care or a quality of care that we both align on, right? So you look at your data sets that you have on your providers over a period of time. I look at this quarterly, but for sure over a year's time, you can look at the kinds of patients they're sending you, and lean into the guys that have a high level of potential to add both, more depth to their referral source. But are they good people for you to continue to expand your base around? Or do they provide the ability for you to specialize? If you've got one specialist in your practice, which I totally hate in my model, I never let one therapist open up something new on their own. I before we even started, I make sure they're training someone to help them, because if we're going to lean into marketing, doing PR and marketing, and say we're specializing in something, it isn't just going to be one person. Because if we've got a referral source that has great potential, there's viability, there's lifeability, meaning future. We want to make sure that it isn't just, we're just depending on one person, because if one person leaves, then we no longer have that specialty. So we want more width and depth to even our specializations. When we did aquatics, we make sure our aquatic therapist that I built the pool for, was committed to training other therapists and being really good at aquatics like she was. And she has since then retired, but we have several aquatic therapists now. It's just an example. Same thing with the pelvic floor. You don't want just one. You want several people that can do that, provide that service, so that you can build your base, externally too. And then, really important number for me, and I do look at this every week, and I know Wendy really leans into this one, is what the number of active referral sources that we have each week or month. Now you can do this a couple of ways. For sure, how many, this is where I talk about your width of your referral base. And because you should have a strategy for expanding your base of referrals over time. Every year, if you did nothing more, when I first started the referral development program, I know I made a decision early. It's like, look, I knew that if I just had 10 more referral sources, 10 new referral sources every year, right? And I mean those ones that were, A's or B's. If I had 10 more A's or B's that were sending me 12 or more a year, that's enough to keep, if they were A's, that's definitely enough to keep a therapist busy in our setup, right? So I look every week at how many referral sources were active in our company. So I've got the count on the MDs or the medical referrals, traditional medical, and how many from direct access sources, how many different sources are sending to us every week. And we like to see that above a certain threshold to satisfy our volume. So for me, it's a really important number. It's a viability number. If you're expanding the number of active referral sources, you will always have a future. And I got to tell you, being in my 60s now, and almost we at the 30-year mark, I can tell you it's certainly in the top 5 things that any buyer is going to look at in the viability of your practice on what you're going to get paid going forward. They're going to want to know what the diversity of your referral sources are. So you have to look at what are your opportunities to make a B, someone in my system that's 12 or below, in that below 24, from 12 to 23 a year, moving them up to A's, and then or C's up to B's, or C's up to A's, meaning moving them up in your tiers. So if you're strategically doing that, man, you will make your practice worth a lot more, because the value of a start, you should know what the value of a start is in your organization. And I staticize that every week. I take the total number of starts in therapy, total number of starts in our cash services, and I combine that, and that tells me the future of my company. I know what my future looks like every week, and then we break it down further in our strategy meetings. I just walked out of our strategic planning meeting, and we look at these kinds of things for sure, grossly every month. I know I look at the statistics every week, but we'll strategize them. The big stuff every month, and then every quarter we'll break it down even further. So here's some specific examples, so you can evaluate this ABC thing, right? Or break it down. I hate to talk totally in generalities, so I just made up a couple scenarios. So this Dr. Frequent sends you 24 patients. He's an A guy, right? An A guy or gal per year for a total collectible value of, I just assigned a value. So they sent me 24, and there was an average of 8 visits, which in our system would be low. And they also send mostly Medicare patients, which is only about $80 a visit. So this guy, while he sends me 24, it's worth $15,360. But Dr. Occasional, I didn't put him in quotes, I realized there, sends you only 12 a year, 1 a month, for a total collectible value of $17,640, because his 12 patients come for 14 visits, a lot more engagement, a lot more engaged patient. I guarantee you my outcomes are probably going to look a little different for those 12 patients than maybe those other 24 that only came 8 times. I'm not saying that across the board. Kind of depends. If they were a vestibular patient in our system, you could totally see them in 8 visits and get a great outcome. So I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, for the viability of your practice, don't just look at the how many they send you. Look at the quality of the patient they send you, because it may surprise you. Because in this scenario that I wrote down there, if they're mostly Blue Cross and Blue Shield patients, then I'm going to get paid more per visit. Plus, I'm seeing them. In this case, it just so happens with Dr. Occasional, and this does happen, by the way. If you take your practice software and lay out all your top docs, if you look at one category of the number of referrals, or one column of the number of referrals, next column the number of visits, next column collection per visit, next column collectible value of an episode of care, you may find that those rankings, depending on how you sort your list, you can sort it 4 different ways and you'll come up with 4 different rankings. So it'll give you really good data to decide which one of these referral sources you should spend more time on, or go visit with a different purpose, right? More examples here. Dr. A sends you 24 new patients at $75 a visit, all Medicare. Dr. C sends you 6 patients at $90, and you see this $97 per visit average. But they are sending you, sporadically, they're sending you those 6 patients at 14 visits per new with predominantly commercial payers. I'm going to go lean into this C guy. I'm going to find out more about Dr. C, because I'm not going to ignore Dr. A. I'm not going to go cut him off, at all. But I'm just saying there's a great opportunity to further develop Dr. C. And then Dr. B, this middle of the road guy that sends 12 a year at $105 a visit. And I have seen this, by the way. These are all real scenarios. But they're all specialty type patients. They send us the aquatics. Let's say it's a family practice guy, right? Sends us some good aquatic patients, really understands the value. We solve a problem for them with pelvic floor and/or complex pain diagnoses, multiple comorbidities. It's really a great. This guy can be moved up to an A, 100%. Not that they, by revenue, they might already be, pretty close to being an A, but you can really move these guys forward. So hopefully you see from these examples that definitely all referrals are not the same. Don't just look at one thing. Get at least these 4 data sets. And then, the thing I didn't put on here, by the way, is, looking at the diagnoses and the mix of patients that you want to be seeing. Do they match up your, match your avatar, the kind of, the kind of patients that you would prefer to see. If you, in a perfect world, if you could choose the kind of patients that walk in the door, by the way, it just takes a very specific marketing strategy, something that survival strategies can help everybody with, whether it's by types of referral sources that you want to target, or through direct response marketing. Certainly, you can attract the attention of, or the interest of, certain types of publics. It's out there. All the data's there. You just have to dive into it and decide what you're doing to create the kind of workflow that you currently have, or the kind of patients you currently get in the door, and gradually over time move it towards the kind of patients that you want to be seeing, or that your therapist want to be seeing. So moving Dr. B to Dr. A to the A level, right? Okay, from a B level to an A level. So Dr. B sends you 10 patients per year in spurts that are predominantly backs and necks, private pay, an average of 12 visits per new. You need to create a strategy with that doctor and build a relationship that will make him or her into an A level. Because if you moved them from 10 patients to year and move them into that 24 range, that's 14 more new ones per year. And if they're sending you, stuff that you're okay seeing, I mean, a lot of outpatient PT clinics for sure are going to see a lot of backs and necks unless they're a specialty clinic. But if you had either had private or commercial payers on top of that, and the average visits per were high, it's worth developing that strategy. If you did this, if you picked, 5 to 10 docs that were in that B level or even in that C level, and you moved them in a year's time, I gave you this gross example before, but if I took 5 to 10 referral sources and increased them by 14 that were in that range, so that's anywhere from 70 to 140, depending on whether you picked 5 or 10 or some variable, within that, you'd have, 70 to 140 additional high quality patients, or $90,000 to $180,000 per year gross revenue, because that'd be your 70 new patients, 70 to 140 new patients a year times your whatever your collectible value is, right? You can put your own numbers in there. I just put those in for example. Now, some quick commentary on direct access and direct response type referrals, right? Direct access meaning, again, reminding you where the patient decides, not the referral source, not the doc, or they're directly responding to some marketing or promotional piece that you create. I will tell you that returning patients and or friends and family referrals, folks that have been referred by someone that knows and likes and trusts you, are the easiest and cheapest to convert to start. Our marketing budget, this is so much easier on our marketing budget when you get returning patients. And by the way, returning patients sometimes come through our direct response. It's so funny, when we first launched those ads, we found that when we started doing Google ads or doing paid Google ads, it's funny, we found out how many people were searching for our number online, and we were paying for them to just call us as a returning patient. We started looking at the list and we're like, wait a minute, they've been here before. We figured out, which is fine. It was easy for them to access us, but they were calling in on our paid number and not our normal number, or the number we've had for 30 years. But it was really comical. But so we were actually paying for that reach, but we did find out that people were just searching for us on their own and returning to us. But those folks are the easiest and cheapest to convert. They're easiest to get into the service zone. They just arrive, not a lot of extra phone calls and additional scheduling. I'm now talking about the adult market here, so I don't have a comparative yet on what that's like in the pediatric realm. So direct response referrals are typically more willing to pay for our services. Like, we get people that, we have massage therapists here, and it's so funny, we get the best response, we get the best conversion and arrival rate on massage over PT. And that's really fascinating to me. But they actually, while we offer a free service for the PTs, for the PT patients to come in for a screening or to do a phone screen, the ones that have to pay they arrive at a higher percentage rate, and they're quicker to convert when they got to prepay. But it's really fascinating. So direct response referrals are typically more willing to pay for and complete their services once they're closed, but it takes a little bit more staff time and effort and investment on your part to get them to arrive, get them to close. Because if they don't already know you, like you, and trust you, it just takes a little more work. I'm just telling you that this is my experience. You guys may have other experiences, but that's true for me. I'd be really interested to see what Nancy has to say about this, or if she knows what the consultants run into with folks, or whether they get, whether the the frontline folks that are dealing directly with new owners, whether that's something that they find. And then traditional medical referrals are definitely easier to, with great confidence and competence, promote your services, and you're already well known. They're easier to get people arrived, but you still need to close them to their full plan of care. But on a hierarchy of things, that top level, number one there, those folks are easiest to convert and they're cheapest. CAC is customer acquisition costs. We're looking at our acquisition costs, over definitely, while we track our expenses and our costs, every month, but we look at over a little longer period of time with our marketing company that we work with, for our direct response ads. We're obviously looking at that every month, but we balance that out over time on what we're spending to get a new start. But the traditional medical, they cost you your time and relationship building. But the more faith, trust, and confidence they have in you, they actually help you pre-close your patients. So that's why there is such a difference in the quality and quantity of how you should look at your various referral sources and your referrals. So bottom line here, know before you go, survey data is the key driver for your statistics. Surveying meaning look at what people are buying, look at how people are arriving, where are they coming from, and in what volume. And if you get used to looking at it, you'll be able to make really good decisions, and you won't be subject to or the effect of the external environment so much. You'll be driving it yourself, because you can drive the conversation. Definitely make a strategy off your current budget and the data that you do have. You have more than you might know. We're discovering new things all the time. The deeper we go into it, I do not like to pick the pardon my French here. Nancy can write me a nasty note, but I don't like to pick the flesh out of the pepper. While I may appear to be a significant dude in what I'm presenting to you here, it has to be obvious to me. I have to be able to see it. When I look at it every month or every week or every quarter, as I just keep looking at it, it jumps off the page at me and go, this is the guy, this is the guy or the gal, or this is the road what we want to go down, we want to lean into, because we are driving in the most desirable patients. You commit to the strategy that will drive in the highest volume of your patients, your avatar. What does it look like? The ones that bring you the greatest value, and then you evaluate and adjust your strategy. We do it monthly. Now, all this stuff that I'm going over, I highly encourage guys that haven't gotten some training in this area. This is a combination. Nancy, she didn't say it today. She touts me as like some kind of, power CEO or whatever word. I don't forgot what your word you used, Nancy.
I don't know what I called you.
Yeah. Some kind of CEO. I did it by getting trained for sure with the survival consultants, but between objective statistical management, PR and marketing training, and some critical data analysis skills that I developed later on my advanced management training. Then now I do it predominantly on my own. I use outside sources like I talked about. I don't do my own digital marketing because it's a whole technology that we don't monkey with. We pay someone to get good results on it, but we still have to look at the data, the analytics on it. But it's a combination of training and application and building a team, which I know I'm looking forward to the conference in October. I'm bringing a few of my team down there because A, we know Patrick and Matt, but B, it's a successful action for our guys to continue to get trained and engage and learn from the best guys that are experts in their field. So you want to drive the takeaway here is evaluate, adjust your strategy at least monthly on referral types and sources from a broad perspective, from MD referrals to direct access or direct response, and have just start gradually working on it. Look at the data, and then if you don't already have systems in place, totally understand. That's what the referral development, the referral increase programs for. That's what PR marketing is for. That's what management is for your ability to be able to take these analytics and help them drive intelligent decisions towards that quantity, quality, viability. Drive the attention, and interest of your group, your entire group, towards those publics that they want to be working with, and that pay you the best. And don't underestimate how much intensity that it will take, or how much intention or intensity it will take to execute that. You have to stay at this over a number of months and sometimes years before you'll see, moving, those C's to B's or B's to A's and or just, opening up a niche, improving your width, improving your depth, because it's work. Trust me, it is work, but it's so fulfilling to move the dial the direction you want it to move and not be the effect of your environment or whatever is happening out there, and have people just, have other people decide. You should be deciding what the narrative is. You want to write the story. You can totally do that, but you have to look at the data first and see where it's at. I was fortunate enough in the very beginning at referrals being the number one thing I wanted to do, because it was just me and one other therapist when we started. And I did. I literally I said, look, if I have 10 to 20 new sources a year, and I never did not expand it, beyond 10. I never was unable to achieve that. Used a double negative there, I realized, but I never was unable to do that. And it worked great. And then we just kept adding therapists, and now we're really working on the quality. We don't have a quantity problem. We continue to lean into the quality of it. We do have a viable practice. It'll be even more viable when we launch into new markets, should we choose to partner and do some pediatrics, which we're taking a serious look at in our market, because there is not any freestanding pediatric clinics in the town of 125,000. So I thought, wow, that's pretty wild. So we're doing the research on that, so we can take a little bump there and partner with a pediatric group to do that. And since we don't specialize in that, but same thing going into other markets, we can take this kind of market intelligence and go in and while we're building our PR, target particular publics and see some sizable expansion. So I want to answer any questions. I'm going to take the screen share off because I hate not looking at people.
I'm gonna jump in for a second, Paul. Thank you for that. That was really
quite a download, wasn't it? I literally made that up yesterday, by the way, Nancy. So I hope you like that.
I love it. Hey, we don't care when you get it done, as long as you get it done. That's all we care about. Some people fly like that. I'm one of those people. I'm like, I'll just pull that together right now. Before I forget, if we haven't already, because I can't see it, Carrie Lee, my right-hand gal, is going to post a poll, because survey is everything, right? So that's the way we build events for you, and that's how we know what's going on, because Carrie and I don't own or run a practice, and we want to hear from you guys. So the poll really, really, really helps us tremendously, and it's part of we practice what we preach. It's part of what we're trained to do, is to survey, so that you're not just turning out products that you think the public want and need. You turn out what they actually say they want. Of course, you can't make everybody happy all the time, but we strive to do our best. I can't stand to have not one. I want everybody happy, and you know how hard that is, but I don't care. I still strive for it. It's still the goal. Anyway, that's it for me. If you guys have questions for Paul, please ring them in, because he loves to answer your questions. I like to answer them too when I can.
Hey, there's a question in the chat that I can answer.
What is that? I didn't see it.
Gary Taylor, but I actually, not to confuse, so I laid out, quantity, quality, viability, as just a viewpoint on looking, breaking down in sequence your types of referral, your referral groupings and your sources. But as far as the 4 data sets that I talked about, like if you were going to pull up, and you can do this with your direct response referrals too, like the direct access. But we're going to look at the number of referrals, the number of visits, the total revenue for a full episode of care, and the fourth one, obviously the revenue per visit, because you will definitely see if you pull up your referral sources, and if your software, I'm lucky that our software is robust enough. I can look at all kinds. I can take a bunch of data sets and put them in. It's a relational database, so I can search by anything. You'll see a difference. There's certain docs that their revenue per visit, just while they may send you a lot of patients, the revenue per visit may not be that great. And so it's not like firing an insurance company. And if you still have the bandwidth and capacity to see them, but you need to look at what you're doing with their patients and what's different about their patients. But those are the 4 things: number of visits, the revenue the visits per new, then the revenue per patient, and then the revenue per visit. So those are the 4 things that I look at.
Thank you.
Thank you. We love questions being asked and answered. Hey, you know what, Paul, I meant to jump in, but I don't want to interrupt you. We're on a steam train there. You mentioned in the Palooza coming up, the Palooza-versary, you mentioned Patrick and Matt, and people don't know who that is necessarily. So Patrick Valton is, he's a presenter that's been presenting. He's an international presenter. He's this really cool guy. I always called him like the Belgian 007. He's got this really cool, like, secret agent man kind of persona. I love him. He's going to be delivering Creating Time. And Creating Time is a really popular presentation he's been doing for years, like I said, internationally. So that's Patrick Valton. He is tremendously backed by popular demand. When we used to have survival strategies only conferences, we would have Patrick speak year in, year out for years till people were like, okay, I think we got it. We like Patrick. We're ready for somebody new. But a lot of you haven't seen Patrick, so we brought him back. So he's coming to this Palooza. Paul mentioned Matt. Matt is from Uplift Marketing, and Matt is our, Paul turned us on to Matt. He understands private practice, and he loves doing marketing for private practices. He's got peds and adult outpatient, like he's got it down. They're very swamped, and they are a boutique kind of agency. So get with them, and they do some amazing stuff. If you see all my ads for Palooza-versary and this, that, and the other, that's if you got here from an ad, if you saw a group join ad, that's all Uplift. Love collaborating with those guys. So those are the two people that Paul mentioned that you may not know who they are, but they're great speakers. They're both amazing. So that's that. Paul, what else you got to say here in the wrap up? Anything? Anybody have a question? We got 3 minutes left.
There was one. Lisa Kelly put a question in there. Said suggestions for an area where we have several big hospital networks. So primary referrals are to their own outpatient PT clinics. We get those who say they know they want to see us, meaning, they have you guys in mind when they're seeing the doc, and they just say, no, I want to go see, I want to go see, I want to go to Lisa, or I want to go see Lisa's therapist. Go ahead.
Got a burning answer to that. Long story short, because we only have minutes, I went and ran an adult practice, and I made the owners put me through the referral program. So I have done the referral program and boomed the heck out of the company. But there were all these peoples in Los Angeles, and there were a ton of, what do we have there? Like health zone, health, whatever, but it's a hospital. They do the surgery. They had a hole in with all the sheriffs and all the cops and all the fire department people. And they would make it seem like they had to be seen by those people, but then they had a wait list. So you just got your frozen shoulder or your hip replacement or your whatever operated on. And then you had to wait like a really long amount of time before you got in. And you're told that they will never give you referrals. Well, I was what Survival calls the PCC, the patient care coordinator. I went in with the mindset that those girls at that front desk, and that's the game you're playing. You're trying to get past the front desk. You're trying to get to the people that are going to actually write the script. The doctor doesn't really write the script. And I just got in with those girls like, hey, are you overwhelmed? Do you have people screaming at you because they can't get in? They were like, yes. And it was all on the down low. Like, they didn't want me in there like being, making a big to-do. But, they all think that we're all pharmaceutical sales reps. So I just fit in with that. And I wound up, I was like, look, just give me your people that are pushing. Give me your people you can't fit in. Give me the people that are in my area, not in your area. I got so many referrals from the hospitals that said that they cannot send anybody outside. I got those people. So I would say my suggestion would be think outside the box, think outside the reception area, and learn how to get referrals from those girls. Those girls are overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid. and they want nothing more than to get things off of their plate. And when you can do that, they love you and appreciate you and send you people. And one of my biggest referral sources was whatever that place is. And we grew a very nice business helping lovely fire department and sheriffs and police guys that just had surgeries and couldn't get in for like 6 or 7 days or a week or two after surgery. So that's my answer. I don't know, Paul, you got anything to add to that?
I will add, I mean, that is so true. You know, you could literally make a living off of a lot of these offices. And I don't want to have this taken the wrong way. When I say they're scraps, there's a certain percentage of people they could send you every week without any liability to themselves or their group. You know, this may sound a little robust, but you know, I actually had this conversation with the CEO of the largest hospital group here years ago. They were talking to me. They wanted to acquire me, and I wasn't for sale. But I'm like, you know, I honestly told her, I said, look, your docs are already not sending enough patients to therapy anyway. So I go, there's plenty for what you guys are doing and what we're doing. This is an underserved community in rehab. But I go, honestly, you guys would not notice if we took another $1 million off the table. Meaning if we took $1 million out of this market, you know, at $90, at $91.20, we're at about $92 a visit right now. At $92 a visit, whatever that number is, you guys would never notice. So I'm not sure what you're worried about. So I've actually had the conversation with the CEO. Last thing I'll say though, and this isn't directly to who was asking the question. Was it Lisa? Was there?
Yeah, it was Lisa Kelly.
Lisa. So Lisa, do not ever, all of you guys, don't ever discount your current base of patients. We ran one campaign on this basic premise, and we had to educate the public the fact that they had a choice. When Kansas went to open fully direct access, we did a whole campaign. We ran it 2 or 3 times, and we took our whole database and we created a multi-level campaign to educate the public that they had a choice. I'll just call it the choice campaign. We let people know that they had a choice, but by survey, we found out what were the most important points of choice for them to come to Rebound. And we just broadly, and the people don't know how to have the conversation with their doctor. They cower down. They are still the gods, and you have to educate the public. So we did multiple mailings, video, we did presentations on choice, and let public know that they had the choice. So don't discount your database and because those people already know you, like you, and trust you. You have to educate them, and they will know how to have the conversation with themselves, with their doctors or others, and say, well, you know, you can go see Lisa. You know, you can go see Tracy. You can go see Sherry. You can go see, you know, whatever, and they'll do it for you. But you have to educate them. They are not educated on this subject at all.
They really, my pet peeve with that, because I just find it such a disservice to the patient, is that they really make it sound like you have to go. Like, I don't know how somebody doesn't say, what do you mean I have to go? Like, I don't even know how I've never, knock wood, had surgery in a situation like that. So I don't know how they pose it that you have to go, that it's they have like such a strong intention. I don't know, but those patients really think they have to get PT, that they have no choice. And a lot of times it was way out of their area. It was 45-minute drive each way in LA traffic, which is just like another word for hell. And I was like, and they were like, oh my gosh, you're so much closer. You're right off the freeway. So I'm with Paul on that. Find a way to market that and let people know they have a choice, and that you are open and you have slots and you can take them in, because those places really, truly have wait lists for surgeries that they really should not have a wait list for. Like, they really should say, look, we can't get you in, and it's in your best interest to go get PT right away post-op, and they don't do that. So go out there and get them, because what you guys love to do is help people. So it's a help flow. You're letting people know. Education is always key. Let them know, and don't be afraid. Think outside that reception box, because they shooed me out and they said no and they threw me out and they did a lot of things, but I just kept coming back all smiley, like, hi, I'm here to help you, make your life easier. So you also want to get a great PCC, patient care coordinator. And that is through, I got trained through Survival. That's all I can tell you. And Paul's gal, Wendy, did too. So That's what we know. So that's what we're going to tell you to do. Guys, if you have any other questions, are we good? Are we setting you free? You jumping off? Guys, if you are in the adult sector and you want, oh, thank you, Sherry Taylor. We love you and we're so happy you're here. We're appreciative that you carved out time for us. And you want to chat with me, please get that number, because I will link you up with people and other practices and stuff. But if you're in the adult sector, guys, we got to get loud. You got to understand what's going on with the peds community, like the amount of collaboration and community. And I would love to get that to you guys. And we're going to have to start small. If I could put a meeting together with 30 of you, and it would start off. So that's the choice is yours. Oh, that's a great ad, Paul. When you need physical. Oh,
yeah, I'm just showing you. I mean, it was an entire series along with some workshops. So that was just one ad, but we just said, look, the choice is yours. Then we ran a second campaign, and I won't get into the details of it other than to say this. It was your health, your choice. So we did 2 series in 2 different years, and we just pounded the public with a series of postcards, and we did the digital ads and everything, and just pounded the message, and they got it.
Put it back up. Lisa Kelly said, put that back up.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know whether you wanted me to show it or not. So I was kind of being discreet here, but that's just one. That's one ad. That was back in 2015.
I don't do hints. I'm from New York. You gotta, like, people like hint. Like, I don't. You better say it directly, because I'll be like, I don't do hints. Yeah, put it back up.
It's not. Oh, I didn't reshare. Okay, I'm not sharing right now. I do realize that I got to hit screen share, don't I? That one? Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. So that's just one. We had 6 or 8 different buttons. This one was really general. This is like a general card. It was on that one was on the button on results, because by survey, the reason that folks send to us is because of the results. But yeah, really simple, different images on every card. I can probably share this in another. I can do this privately with somebody.
You know what you could do is, if you have a file, you could put it in the files in the private practice network, and then they can access it. Or you can tell Carrie Lee, and she can send out an email saying, hey, it's in the files, if you want to do that. But yeah, you want to get going on something like that, because you have to think outside that reception. But their job is to keep you out, and your job is to get in. That's the game. It's like football. You're trying to get.
You can't send the message just one time. Now this is something you have to pound. When you get a campaign like this, you just have to keep you got to get their attention. You've got to, get their interest and get them to read the piece. You'll even see the design of the pieces. Like, it's okay. That message is like, first thing your eye goes to is that top message, and you see the image, then you read the other part. There's a whole technology to this that survival can. I'm telling you guys, get trained, because otherwise you will not. Get trained.
I watch the people that are trained, and I watch the other people, and it's like night and day. Like, sometimes I think it's that sometimes owners don't think with what's really possible. I hear a lot of like how hard, like people will tell me fixed ideas. I cannot hire. I cannot get a speech path. I cannot hire. I'm like, really? Jen Davis just hired 38 people. Tracy Bond just hired 30 people. Emily Watkins just hired 30 people. And these are in people, some of these people, well, Jen's in San Jose, but some of these people are in rural areas, like that. You're like, really, Bossier, Louisiana? Like, who wants to go uproot and go live in Bossier? How do you get clinicians that want to work in Bossier? So I never even heard of it, but because, I talk to people all around. So that's the power of training. And I hear a lot of fixed ideas about how hard it is, how you can't make money, how the reimbursements, how the salaries, how the pay, how the new grads want 100K. There's ways around all of it when you're not sitting there trying to reinvent the wheel. And we just start you off looking at your numbers. We just start you looking off in real time, like where you really are, not where you think you are, not what the checkbook says, not what QuickBooks says. We get you to really look at like what's really, really, truly going on in your practice. That's the big start. So anyway, guys, we're running out of time here. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We know how busy it is to carve this out. Paul, if you get that and you give it to Carrie Lee, she could put it in the files, or you could put it in the files, and then we can email the people and say, hey, we put this in the files for you. Wow, we're 10 minutes over. We had a little chatty time. I love it. I love going over it. Paul and I are the same. We just clear our day, and we're like, we got time to talk to people.
We just start spitting.
Start what?
We just start spitting truth. Yeah.
Start spitting truth. All right. That's us. I love it. All right, guys, if you have any questions, you got numbers there, reach out, and we'll see you the first week in September. It's on, I don't even know. Now, this is a rumor, but we were tossing around some finance webinar, and I'm like, oh, they are always trying to get some finance data. That's an area that is very tricky in PT, and so in private practice. So I love when people have really looked and they can actually, I mean, Paul really knows, I'm sure you can tell, he knows what time of day it is all the time at his practice. So we might have it on finance. It's like, oh my gosh, payroll, finance, all that stuff is just beautiful.
Well,
all right, guys.
I think I sent a text out on that to you guys. I think it was just owner finance, which is a little different, viewpoint from an owner. Yeah.
Viewpoint of the.
Is that the 6th,
right?
by the way? Is that the 6th of September? Is that what we're looking at? Carrie?
I don't have a calendar. Right. Carrie Lee, do you know? Did she jump off? She left.
No, she's left. She's still here.
Her picture's not, she's gone. I don't know.
I am here. I am here. Oh. I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, the first Wednesday of September is the 6th.
Okay.
Okay, good. Perfect. All right, we'll see you guys. And
now
if
that's
you
a holiday week.
Oh,
Labor Day is the Monday the 4th.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if you guys what you want to do about that.
You already have do you have a lemonade on the 13th, or?
I'm not sure.
Your call. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I'll be here. I'll be back.
That I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll chat about that.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Lisa Kelly, I'm going to text you. I'm going to text you an answer. Lisa Kelly. I love private messages. Anyway, I love when you guys are chatting with me. Not because they're private. I just love when people are talking to me. That's all. That's my favorite thing. So Lisa, I have you saved in my phone. I'll chat with you right now. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Carrie Lee, can I leave? Okay. This is something with this poll, and I leave early and it's all a mess. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for attending. We love you. Bye.